There are three parts to a magic trick. First comes the pledge. The magician shows you something relatively ordinary, like a dove. Second is the turn. The magician takes the dove and makes it do something extraordinary. Disappear, like disappear. Finally, there's the prestige. The magician tops that disappearance and makes the dove reappear. Up your ass. Hello everyone out there, welcome back to the Phantoms Fanatic YouTube channel. Obviously by that, the long-ass intro, and the fact that you clicked on this review, I'm reviewing The Prestige, released in 2006, starring Christian Bale, Hugh Jackman, Michael Caine, Scarlett Johansson, Rebecca Hall, David Bowie, and Andy Serkis, and it was directed by Christopher Nolan. The Prestige follows two magicians as they were partners, stage partners at one point, but due to a tragic accident, they start to hate each other and then feud as after one of them shows their best magic trick, teleportation. As the rivals get worse and worse, one of them tries to desperately uncover the secrets behind the routine and make his own version of the trick that beats it by using strange science by Nikola Tesla. His quest takes him to obsess over it too much, eventually driving him to insanity and destroying everybody's lives around him as he tries to one-up the other one's magic. Christopher Nolan has made a lot of good movies. This one, I haven't seen talked about a lot, which is a shame, because in my personal opinion, I think that The Prestige is my favorite film of his. This or Inception. Christopher Nolan always likes to play with time dilations, or just different framings with time devices, such as, because the movie previous, Memento, is all fucking insane with that. I haven't seen it, but that's the one thing I heard about that. This movie also takes that direction, because in the start of the story, you start near the end, after all the action happens, but then you flash back to the middle of the story, and then you flash back to the beginning. You may think that that would make the watching experience shitty, because constant flashbacks, but it still strangely makes a continuative narrative that works. And unlike a lot of Christopher Nolan's films that I have a problem with, is that sometimes with his films he can get overly too philosophical, especially in The Dark Knight and Inception, kind of. I don't really see that in Inception, but a lot of his dialogue can get overly philosophical, just as there was a man who stole the diamonds from those kids, and I'm turning into John Lennon all of a sudden. But, like, his dialogue can sometimes get too overly philosophical, which sometimes can knock the viewing experience. In this, the two characters who are throwing out philosophical dialogue, they make sense to be doing that. One is Michael Caine, who's just amazing at throwing out philosophical dialogue. You know, revenge is a young man's game. No, it's obsession is a young man's game. And then it's David Bowie playing Nikola Tesla, which is the best fucking casting ever. I love David Bowie in this. But, yeah, as I said, those characters are really the only ones who throw out overly philosophical dialogue, and it doesn't really subtract the viewing experience, in my opinion. The acting in this is all top-notch for the most part. Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman give some of my favorite performances of their career. Hugh Jackman definitely plays the more main character. He's the main striving narrative, even though Christian Bale is that. But for the most part, when Christian Bale reveals his ultimate magic trick of teleportation, you mainly follow Hugh Jackman's quest to one-up him through that, and as their bitter hatred after this accident happens, they start to go over the line and start to harm each other and pretty much try to kill each other. They ruin their acts, they break legs, they shoot fingers off, they ruin the lives of people around them, because Scarlett Johansson's character is Hugh Jackman's assistant at first, but after he is too obsessed with this, and the assistant and him start to form a relationship after Hugh Jackman experienced a loss in that tragic death, that she eventually begins to hate him and starts to fall for Christian Bale's character, who has a wife, and you think he's not being faithful, but then when it's revealed, not trying to spoil the twist, because the twist definitely reveals some things, and the twist in this is so fucking amazing. There's 2 twists practically, and each of them still build up to a great final act and prestige, as you were to say, because with this film, Nolan comments on obsession and how it can drive people down into the darkest ways, and how showmanship and entertaining the audience and public opinion can all be so great and inspiring to experience, but it also can drive you insane trying to make yourself one up other people so then you get the spotlight, because that pretty much that works in social commentary today, especially with YouTubers and stuff like that. I think that's such an interesting idea to explore. And the movie also shows you behind the scenes of all these magic tricks, and once you see how the magic tricks are done, even they comment this on the film, they don't become interesting anymore. They are very obvious and they're not as engaging to people, which I think that is such a excellent idea, and comments on cinema as well. It shows you the behind the scenes of cinema practically, but using magic instead of movies. And you know, you see the magic on the screen, all the effects and stuff, but then when you see how it's done, it kind of pulls you out of the experience and ruins the magic for you. But in my opinion, it doesn't, because I look at movies a different way than most people, but I really do like that. The theme of obsession and trying to one-up each other, you know, we start mainly following Hugh Jackman as he's going down this pit, but then you realize that Christian Bale's character is also obsessing when Jackman upstages his magic trick with a better one, a better version of it, the real transporting man, they call it. And Christian Bale's character then starts to obsess over that, leading to the penultimate climax. And the cinematography in this film is also fucking gorgeous. There are scenes, you know, with Nikola Tesla in his lab messing with electricity and shit and stuff, and of course the electricity kind of looks fakey, but I don't have a problem with that. It didn't bother me as much as other movies where that kind of shit happens. And most of the performances are top-notch in this, especially all the side characters. I will say Scarlett Johansson's character, I like what they do with her, because it delves into the theme of obsession and how her life is ruined by the others. Her performance and her characterization herself, I didn't find all that engaging, in my opinion. I don't know if it was the writing, because I think Scarlett Johansson is an amazing actress. I just didn't think her character was all that engaging, but what they were doing with her to show how the other characters react, I think that's a better version of it. And also, Rebecca Hall is pretty good in this as Christian Bale's character's wife, and how she says, I see you as 2 different people, the one who loves me and the one who doesn't, and it's so tragic what happens to her as he starts to obsess and cares about his image too much that she feels like she's being ignored by him, and it's so tragic what happens to her in this. And Nolan's cinematography in this is always as good as it's gonna be. The editing is top-notch. I love one scene early on where the tragic accident happens. Somebody's in a dunk tank, and you get the same thing earlier where Michael Caine establishes that he grabs an axe and puts a stopwatch up to make sure he can go and save her if the trick goes wrong. And in this scene, it does go wrong. You have just an intense build-up with the, you know, like magician drums in the background waiting for the trick to be revealed, but he's standing there with the watch and you hear it ticking. But as soon as he runs out there to try to save this person, the music cuts out. The music cuts out. It is just dead silence as he's trying to get her. That is so Nolan and so expertly done, in my opinion. And as I said, David Bowie as one of the side characters as Nikola Tesla is fucking awesome. His performance is so fun in this. He's the one who's throwing out philosophical dialogue, and I'd probably be pissed if it wasn't David Bowie and wasn't Nikola Tesla, but it works for me. And then also Andy Serkis playing Tesla's assistant. He's always just a fun part of this movie as well. But yeah, I definitely recommend this, especially because there is one hell of a twist afterwards that then enhances the viewing experience after you see the film, which is really fucking good because it adds layers to the other characters' performances. And I love how, like in Inception, where Nolan incepts our brains to make you think at the end that reality isn't real, in this, he does the 3 stages of a magic trick, which is, but in the plot of the film, that's what I fucking love about this, is that happens, and it's so creative. I definitely recommend this. I think it's one of Nolan's best films. The twist really is fantastic, and it's hard to see coming if it's not, and it enhances the viewing experience on multiple viewings, seeing how the performances act differently because you know what to expect is coming. That's how you do a twist, and I don't want to reveal it, but as I said, all the acting is top-notch. Christian Bale's performance might seem a bit subdued in some scenes, but once you realize the twist, it makes sense to why he's performing like this, and it makes his performance really good. As I said, I don't think Scarlett Johansson's performance is that good, but it doesn't knock her performance is fine, I just don't really care for that character. Michael Caine is doing his Michael Caine shtick, which I'm to be expected. As I said, all the side characters are relatively entertaining. I definitely recommend this one. Even though it's 2 hours and 10 minutes, it keeps you mostly engaged throughout. There's only some scenes where it kind of drags, but for me, especially on multiple viewings, it keeps you more engaged because you're looking out for the clues that are set up before. I really do recommend this film. I cannot praise it enough. This movie, I think, is one of Nolan's underrated movies. It's probably my favorite Christopher Nolan film, better than Dark Knight. Maybe the Inception. I haven't seen Memento yet, but I do like Inception a lot, though, so I don't know. But yeah, I definitely recommend it. So anyways, what'd you guys think? I know I enjoyed this movie, but, you know, opinions differ between people. But I would like to see those in the comment section down below. I always like to see people's thoughts on the review or the movie itself. Make sure to like, subscribe down below, share this channel. I always like to see the growth of the channel. And, yeah, see you all next time.